Something
I don't
back
have
there.
any.
And
The
oh, that's a
window.
window. It's a window. Okay.
The
All right.
piano window.
Anyway,
All
so
right, I'll go.
let's get Scott to stop complaining. We'll start here. I like that one better.
Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room Podcast. We are here to podcast about anything and everything Star Wars with you.
Yeah, with you.
Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR dot KyleJohansen dot US. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Okay. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansen.US. And now it's time to talk Star Wars. Yay! I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello.
And there's Rick too. Hello, everybody. Rick's there.
Namaste.
With his fancy USA Bearcat claw thing in the background there.
I can't see it.
And Scott's you can too. Stop it. And Scott's got a door with a window, piano window there. And I've got a bunch of stuff in my background. All right, so today we're reviewing Star Wars Ahsoka Part 8, the finale of the season, called The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. So we're going to go through some news, a little bit of news, and it's not really news, it's more educational stuff. We'll do a recap of who was in the episode, and then we'll talk about the episode very detailed like. So that means spoiler. We're gonna spoil the crap out of the episode, so don't blame us if you get spoiled and cry to mommy or whatever. We've already warned you, so go watch it or go home. Something.
There's no crying in Star Wars.
There's no crying in Star Wars, except
that's awesome.
Except we saw some people cry. I think Anakin's cried before when he killed a bunch of people in the Tusken village.
He just said Dustin.
Yeah. That was
he doesn't remember. He doesn't like sand, so he just got the sand in his eyes. It's between his toes.
It's time for the news.
All right, so I put the news just because we're going to talk about some stuff. So we noticed there was a lot of things in the episode, and one of the big things that I didn't put in here was about the statues at the very end. And those statues are supposedly the Mortis people. If Scott remember they had the father, the son, and the sister, and Anakin and Ahsoka went, and at some point Ahsoka actually died there, and the sister saved Ahsoka or something like that. So anyway, these three statues represent that. You can only see two of them, but there's a third one there that's kind of broken down. So the one in the middle is the father, the one on the right is the son, and then the left, the sister, is broken. Now, Rick, what that means to us is these are the basically they live on a planet called Mortis, which is supposedly where the midichlorians originated at. And these are the father, the son, and the daughter representing the sides of the Force. So the father is the balance. The brother or the son is the dark side, and the sister is the light side. That's what they represent. And there's a lot more in the episodes that we've seen. What was that, Scott? Yeah, the son narked on them, and that's what got them killed, or Ahsoka killed, and the daughter's actually dead, And supposedly there was a lot of inferring that Ahsoka is now the daughter, but we don't. It was never talked about. It was just inferred. So I think that's where we're going, and that's why we saw the white bird in our episode, the owl-looking bird off to the side. The owl was represented on those episodes that we were just talking about on the. I think it was actually Rebels that we. No, it had to be on Clone Wars because Anakin was there. Anakin wasn't in the Rebels. He was in there just briefly, but it was mostly as Darth Vader. Okay, so Mortis gods. The bird is a Transdosian bird, so it's from those Transdosian lizard-looking guys. It's a bird from one of their planets called a Convor Morai, and mostly they call it a Morai in the show. And the Morai is supposed to be like the symbol of Ahsoka. Somehow it's associated with her officially, and every time you see one, which we saw one in the episode before, in Mandalorian before Ahsoka showed up, we saw one of those owls then too. So anyway, the owl represents
what the bird sees.
Sometimes, if she uses the Force, I think sometimes she can, but it's not something that happens all the time. She can't see all the time, but she can. She has such a connection with this representation of her that she can use the Force to visualize what the bird's seeing at the same time. Anyway, so Ahsoka's got a second life, and this bird represents the daughter and her sacrifice to resurrect Ahsoka way back when. Gotcha. Makes any sense, Rick, at all? No?
Well, that makes sense.
I went through it kind of fast, but...
Yeah, that was like one of the big questions, because I didn't catch they were statues the first time I watched it. And then when I went back and rewatched it, I caught the second one. I caught the first one where, the guy's got his arm out and Skoll, and he's out there on the fist or whatever, and I didn't catch it. And then the second time I went back and I'm like, wait a minute, there's one over there. But then the other one, it took a little bit to catch that it was actually there, but it was because it was halfway gone. So that's kind of making sense.
Right. And there's people on the internet who have, when you look at the base, because it basically looks like the daughter's beheaded, and there's a little bit more missing because there's like a little cutout there in the valley looking area. But they say that you can see the Ahsoka's little whatever, those tentacle things that she's got hanging down. You can see those in the statues, which I don't know. That's the first time I've ever heard anything like that. So they could just be reaching, So
isn't the brother though? Isn't he connected with like Darth Maul or something somehow? Right.
I mean, he's the dark side of the Force, so anybody on the dark side he's connected with. So, and also I forgot to say, part of the reason I mentioned that Anakin was there and Ahsoka was there. The reason is the father was going to die. He's so old he's going to die, and he wanted Anakin to take his place, and Anakin refused. He still had things to do, which was the Clone Wars and teach Ahsoka whatever he had to do, become Darth Vader. Anyway, he refused. But they think also that's the reason why we saw Anakin in the background at the end as a Force ghost, is he is now taking his place as the father. And the rumor is Ahsoka is going to take place as the daughter, which means she probably has to get killed somehow. Season 2, right? So that could happen. She can't take the place in her current form because they're gods, right? So whatever. But
it's like a reach.
Is that some of the explanation? He has so much metachlorons then is because he was there in the present, or no?
No. That's a different story, and that's all rumor and stuff too. That's supposedly because we know Anakin's mother was Miri or something like that, whatever her name was. But she claimed she didn't have sex before she got pregnant. And the theory is that what's his name? The big bad Darth Sidious, you know, the Emperor implanted an embryo through the Force with midichlorians and stuff. His master supposedly had figured out how to resurrect people and stuff. Remember he talked about it in the sequels or prequels where the story of the guy that got killed or whatever. Ironically, he supposedly he used those powers to create the embryo in Miri or whatever her name was, to create Anakin. That's why his concentration is so high. And of course it's weakened a little bit for Luke and for Leia, but they're supposedly super strong too, right?
Yeah.
Because you bleed it out with a little bit of the Padme there. She's not a Force user or anything that we know of. And Palpatine is the only other one that's got such strong. That's why Rey is a Palpatine, because she's got strong powers too. Anyway, more than you wanted to know. So the next thing we're going to talk about is that green sword, and to talk about that, kind of what Scott was mentioning in Mandalorian. When Ahsoka fought that lady with the staff that was Beskar, that's the same person. That's the same person, same Morgan Elisabeth that we see in this Ahsoka, and obviously Beskar repels lightsabers, so you can't cut through it. This sword is a witchy interpretation of Beskar magic sword that can't be cut through. Also, that's why when Ahsoka's hitting it, it doesn't go through. So this you saw on the show where the witches kind of manifested it. It's related to in the Clone Wars, the witches there. One of the witches that was the head mother was called Talon. This is called the Sword of Talon. So this witch originally manifested this sword, and it was used in so many battles and so revered that they kept it in a witchy cloud location on the internet, and I just pulled it off the internet and used it later on. Let's see, in this show. So it's related to those witches on that show, and I was confused in the beginning, but the witches in our Ahsoka are not the same witches, Scott, that were in the Clone Wars or anything else. These were witches that were trapped on this planet after all the witches migrated to our galaxy. So anyway, that's the history of the blade. It's a magic blade. Let's see, the blade of Talzin. Clone Wars. What else is there in here? Night Sisters. And it mentions again. They're Force welders, but they're magic Force welders. They're not, like I've been telling you, not the same sort of Force stuff that we see in Ahsoka and Darth Vader and all that stuff. It's based on magic, and they can do a little bit of the Force stuff too. So that's kind of the blade. Is there anything else you had questions about on the blade, Rick?
Not really. I mean, I kind of went back and looked a little bit about it, and I saw the stuff on the Clone Wars with that gal that had it, the Talon or whatever her name was. I mean, I didn't watch the episode. Kind of did some research afterwards, but then you sent those articles, and I read those too. So it was just a little confusing how that thing just kind of like appeared out of nowhere. But then it's because of the magic that they had. They've been holding it, waiting for it to be
on the internet in the cloud.
Yeah.
whatever.
It was
The force internet. Let's just say.
it was www.isword.com.
And they downloaded the sword, and it all of a sudden appeared.
They 3D
Something like
printed.
that. Exactly. They had the plans and 3D printed it right there in front of you. The last article I really had was about just to kind of bring up the wound thing with yeah, what's her name? What's her name, Scott? Sabine Wren, Natasha Bordizzo. So I'm not really sharing my screen, but I'm gonna share my screen right now. The other stuff wasn't important. That's 3. Here we go. 3. Share. Is it showing? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see it. There's a picture here with the screen capture of where the sword went through Sabine. And it's in the side of the back where it comes out. And I'm gonna stop sharing that and put the audio back on before I forget. They're saying that if it caught her in anything, it would catch her in like her liver and stuff like that. And we all know that currently, right now, if you chop out a piece of the liver, you can still live a little bit.
My liver.
And they say the lightsaber does cauterize a little bit, but it's not the same. It's they kind of think of it as when you shoot a bullet into something, it kind of destroys all the tissue as it goes through. It just pushes and basically disintegrates the tissue as it goes through. So that's what they're saying happened.
It's more like Rambo
all the way through her.
Rambo took the bullet off and he poured the gunpowder in, and then he lit it and it cauterized it. That's my theory. It was like a Rambo moment in Rambo 3.
That's right, baby.
Yeah,
I think it was Rambo.
Yeah. He might have done it in the first one. I don't know. They say that because Ahsoka was there and was able to possibly get her to a doctor quickly because they weren't far away. That's the only reason she survived. If she had been stuck there, for let's say an hour, she probably would have died, bled out, right? So, the only thing that could have saved her is Ahsoka quickly getting her to the doctor. And apparently that's what happened because we saw her recovering, and possibly because of the advanced technology, like the Bacta stuff, the Bacta fluid, she probably recovered quicker than normal too. Normally, a person who had something similar, like somebody stuck a samurai sword in them like that, they probably would have had a month in the hospital to recover, at least after surgery. So that's kind of what this article talks about and how it kind of relates to current and fictional Star Wars.
I'm sticking with my Rambo theory.
I think so too. She cauterized it. Yeah, I believe it.
It was a clean through and through, and the Rambo theory seared it off, so she was good to go.
Exactly.
Or they had some of that.
Well, she's Mandalorian. She's tough.
Yeah, that's right. She's tough. All right, so that's the news I got there. Wrapped it up. So let's talk about the people who were in the show. The director was Rick Ramanjawi.
Drinks?
What? Drinks? Not yet.
We're not going to grab up drinks and come.
Not yet. I gotta talk about the cast first. You've missed the last couple of times, so you forgot. So director was Rick Ramanjawi. He's that black guy that's one of the directors. Dave Filoni. It's edited by, because it was such a big episode, it was edited by 2 people. Normally only one. We got James D. Wilcox and Dana Gluberman. And of course, the music was done by Kevin Kinnear. Our normal cast: Ahsoka was a Rosario Dawson. Sabine Wren was Natasha Bordizzo. Balin Skoll was Ray Stevens. Shin Hati, Ivanna Sakhino. Morgan Elisabeth was Deanna Lee Inosanto. And funny enough, I talked to her on Twitter this week. She was posting about how she was sad that the show was over, and I got a reply back from her. Nothing important though. It's just sad to see you go. And she's like,
"Did you tell her to come and sit a spell with us?"
"Yeah, she's too busy."
Oh, come on.
We
You
had
didn't have balls to do it?
she didn't respond in a way that made me think she was going to. Yeah,
You
I
did.
think
She
one of
just-
those people responded to her.
Offer Joe's KC, man. She'd have been
Yeah.
That's
here.
right, baby. That's right, baby.
Professor Hanoi was played by David Tennant. Huyang, I'm sorry. Huyang was played by David Tennant. Actropa was Jerry Prescott Galen. These are the witches. Clothal was played by Claudia Black. Lakesis played by Jane Edwina Seymour. Of course, we had the Grand Admiral Thrawn, Lars Mikkelsen. Captain Enoch was Wes Chapman. Ezra Bridger was Iman Esfandi. Hera Syndulla, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. We also saw First Officer Vic Hawkins, played by Nikan Robinson. And of course, at the end, we saw Force Ghost of Anakin Skywalker, played by Hayden Christensen. So before we take our drinks, we're gonna solicit at some of these dirty stormtroopers.
Hey, you over there. Are you a trooper? Is your armor always dirty? When do you find time to clean it? Did rebel scum scratch and
Dead
damage it?
ones?
Does your helmet communications keep acting up?
Hello.
Stop by Aaron's Armor Sparkalorium before 1500 hours. We will wash, clean, and sanitize your armor for the next day pickup. Our patented galactically ancient secret cleaning techniques will have your armor sparkling just like a new Cerulean Y1300 freighter just off the assembly line. You will be the envy of all your friends and coworkers, from the castles on Lothal to the politicians on Coruscant to the environmentalists on Endor. For your next day service, stop by Aaron's Armor Sparkalorium. We are located in Tatooine's Mos Eisley Spaceport, directly across from Hangar 35. We will also repair and sell most parts at the best rates in the known galaxy. All services guaranteed and licensed by the Emperor himself to last a lifetime. Only at Aaron's Armor Sparkalorium.
That's right.
We accept Imperial credits only. Helmets and boots services are extra.
Imperial credits only. We don't take that. We don't take that stuff.
Aaron.
No, Aarons.
Aaron and D Nice.
No, there's not two A's. So again, we are reviewing Ahsoka Part 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. Episode aired on October 3rd, and it was 49 minutes long. The same timeline as we've gone through so far, after the Battle of Yavin. So what that means, Scott, is it's time to grab your favorite beverage.
Oh my God.
Pull up a chair and join us in the Rebel Alliance briefing room.
You were too late. His favorite beverage is already gone.
All right. So we start out. Yeah, chug. We start out at the fortress on Perdilla. Morgan Elisabeth reports to Grand Admiral Thrawn that the cargo is completely transferred. What cargo? Thrawn then tells Enoch, the captain of Thrawn's guard, to bring the Eye of Sion out of high orbit so they can begin the interlocking procedure. Enoch tells Thrawn that the comm scans believe they have a fix on Ahsoka Tano's shuttle location. Thrawn orders Enoch to dispatch two TIE fighters. Thrawn says the fighters can engage if they find their mark. So fire at will. Enoch bows and marches off. Elisabeth says that there is little the Jedi can do to stop them now, and Thrawn tells her not to underestimate the Jedi, explaining that he has seen many Imperial officers make the same mistake throughout the rebellion. Thrawn admits falling victim to the heroics of a single Jedi and vows not to let it happen again. So he's saying he blames Ezra for his miscomings. Thrawn thanks the Great Mothers for their beneficial alliance. The mothers thank Thrawn and Elisabeth. They then ask Elisabeth to come forward and reward her with a gift of shadows, which I don't know, they do something, hit her eyes and on her face, and force witch power activate. When Elisabeth says, when Elisabeth says yes to the offer, they ask her to pledge herself to the sisterhood. The magics
to the flag
of the sisterhood and the magics and the old ways. When Elisabeth agrees, they ask if she is willing to abandon her old life. No more. Elisabeth pledges her life and loyalty. One of the Great Mothers lays her hands on Elisabeth's forehead, causing her eyes to glow. The three mothers use their powers to forge a sword called the Blade of Talzin. They gift the sword to Elisabeth, who clutches it, causing it to burn green. Thrawn watches as the klaxons ring and the two TIE fighters exit the hangar. He's like, I like it.
It took him a while to get the TIE fighters out.
It did. I was surprised it took so long. I was like, oh, I forgot about the TIE fighters he ordered 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but it was the sound again, though. So.
Yeah. Whatever that sound is. I can't do it very good. All right. So meanwhile, back at the Jedi shuttle, hovering over the Nodi caravan, is Ezra assembling a new lightsaber with the help of Huyang. Bridger thinks the blade emitters are too narrow, and Huyang says he is more experienced than he was before. Bridger says they don't have time for lessons since Tano needs them to go after Thrawn. Huyang opinions that this cannot be rushed, and Bridger rummages through Huyang's workshop, annoying the droid who says he has a system. When Bridger replies he has a system, Huyang voices in disagreement. When Huyang asks who taught Bridger to build a lightsaber, Sabine Wren mentions Kanan Jarrus, the late Kanan Jarrus, as far as we know. Bridger explains that Jarrus was his master and taught him everything he knows about being a Jedi. Huyang replies that he taught Jarrus how to build a lightsaber when he was a youngster. Huyang remarks that it now makes sense and explains that he taught every Jedi youngling in the Jedi Temple, including his late master Jarrus. Huyang recalls that Caleb Doom was very clever, which is what Kanan's actual name is Caleb. He changed his name when Order 66 happened to Kanan Jarrus. Trouble times. When Bridger asks how old Huyang is, the droid replies that he is old enough to know that it can be both challenging and meaningful. Huyang hands Bridger a lightsaber blade emitter, explaining that it was a spare he kept for Jarrus. Huyang thinks that Bridger should have it since he is Jarrus's Padawan. Bridger puts it together and ignites a blue-bladed lightsaber, earning Huyang's praise. Before Bridger can practice with Wren, he finds she has left the room. Oh, yeah, she probably didn't like him talking about Kanan and stuff so much. Made her feel bad, so she left. Had to go cry to herself.
Don't cry to the Star Wars.
When Bridger queries about Wren's relationship with Tano, Huyang explains that the older Jedi became concerned that Wren was training for the wrong reasons after the Great Purge of Mandalore, which occurred at the Galactic Civil War. That's basically the Battle of Yavin around that time. The Purge, of course, the Clone Wars, it's the same thing. The Purge killed hundreds of thousands, including Wren's family. At the time, Tano feared that when Wren unlocked her potential, she would become dangerous. So it's a two-edged sword there. So we saw in the episode where she was on the space thing or whatever, she participated in the Purge of Mandalore. Ahsoka did. And they think that Wren's dangerous also because she wants to get revenge for whatever happened to her family and all the people in Mandalore. Which could be true, right?
Yeah.
When Wren exits the shuttle's docking rig and finds Tano meditating on top of the hull of the ship. When Tano asks if she is pleased, Wren replies that she is relieved. And Tano says that Wren's gamble paid off, and Wren realizes that she knows about the deal with Baylan's Skoll. When Wren says that she managed to find Bridger, Tano says that it might not have happened if she had chosen differently. Wren apologizes for not destroying the star map, but Tano understands why she did and what she did. Okay. Wren notices that Tano is not mad, and Tano explains that she has made her share of difficult choices over the years. Most people accept her late master Anakin Skywalker, but did not understand her reasons. Tano says that Skywalker stood by her when no one else did. Tano promises to be with Wren no matter what happens next. They're friends. Tano says that asks Wren if she can keep up with her training. Wren reluctantly says that she has gained a better control of the lightsaber, and Tano tells Wren that being a Jedi is not solely about wielding a lightsaber. She advises the Mandalorian to train her mind and her body and to trust into the Force.
No, she says, I try. And then she says, I
corrects
do.
herself. She corrects herself. Just like it says up there above my head, it says, do or do not. There is no try.
It was a little Yoda connection right there.
Yeah. Yep. She does say try, and then she changes it and says, I do. Shortly later, Bridger exits the docking rig with his new lightsaber. Just then, the two Imperial TIE fighters approach the Jedi shuttle and strafe the ship's hull. They go on both sides, is what that means, causing damage to the ship's stabilizers. They caused what is that? Like when a car goes by real fast and you can feel it and shake it? It causes the stabilizers to malfunction. While Bridger and Tano jump onto the grassy plains, Wren joins Huyang inside the cockpit. Bridger and Tano use the force powers to hold back the ship so that the Noti underneath can evacuate. The TIE fighter returns for a second round and blasts the Noti caravan. Wren manages to convince the Huyang to fire up the engines for a frontal attack on the TIEs. The Jedi shuttle rams into them, causing the starfighters to crash into the grassy prairies. The Noti cheer, but what?
What a tough starship because it took out the TIE fighters, but no damage to its wings.
Yeah. Well,
must have best on the edges.
Crash.
It did crash though, so yeah.
But see, didn't Wren look like she stomped away? And Ahsoka and yeah.
Ezra.
What's his name? Just stood there at the top of the hill looking at him like, now what are we going to do? He fucked the ship up.
They
So
ran
the
out of
Noti,
and fix it.
they got to
Oh, well.
get the robot to fix it. See, the Noti
Yeah.
cheer, but the Jedi shuttle does a belly landing nearby. Huyang and Wren evacuate the ship while the Noti attend their wounded and dead. Bridger remarks that it's going to be this is going to slow them down a little bit, and Tano replies, "Only if they let it slow them down." So back at the fortress, Captain Inyok informs Thrawn that the TIE fighters attacked the shuttle before losing contact. Despite the loss of the ties, Thrawn considers this to be an acceptable outcome and marks their captain for citation. Inyok complies before presenting Thrawn with the coordinates of the skirmish on the helo projector. Thrawn says that the TIE attack has hampered their enemy's ability to attack them or leave Perdia. Thrawn then orders Inyok to prepare for ground assault immediately. Get some people on the ground. Let's go.
Boots on the ground.
While Huyang and the Noti repair the damage to the shuttle, Tano, along with Wren Bridger, ride on the Howlers to face Thrawn and his allies. Huyang wishes the Force to be with them. At the Chimeria Thrawn ship, Elisabeth and the Great Mothers bless several night troopers before impending a ground assault. When Thrawn asks if the volunteers were made aware about the Night Sisters' blessings, and Elisabeth confirms that this is the case and they are all prepared to sacrifice themselves for him. Thrawn says that this is for the Galactic Empire and the security of their galaxy. It's not for me. Why would I do something for me?
And at that point, you didn't quite understand what he meant, but you do later. Spoiler coming.
Yeah,
Because I was confused when I first watched that. When I watched it the second time, it made a little bit more sense. But the first time I watched it, I didn't know what he meant. But I figured
it was
out.
It's hard to understand him sometimes. Not because he doesn't speak clearly. It's more that he speaks in riddles sometimes.
Yeah, it's cryptic.
And usually you figure out what it is by the end. So
well, but we kind of talked about this last week a little bit in terms of that, and so it came to fruition. But I wasn't really thinking about it when he made that comment about do they understand, and she said yes. So sorry,
yeah.
I just had to throw that out.
They had to.
I know that
they had to volunteer for it, I guess.
Yeah, volunteer, I guess. They knew to come back.
You go. No, you go.
The Jedi and Sabine reach the outskirts of the fortress just as the Chimeria begins docking with the Eye of Sion hyperspace transport ring. Bridger realizes that Thrawn plans to take the Star Destroyer with him. Really? Why would you do that? When Tano asks Huyang for a progress report on the repairs, Huyang replies that he and the Noti are doing their best, but cannot guarantee anything. When Tano asks Bridger what they are up against, he explains that Thrawn woke the Great Mothers and rebuilt his warship, making it unsafe for him to come alone. Tano reassures him that he is not alone. All right, Tano proposes trying the front door while Wren dons her helmet. The navigator droid informs Thrawn, Elisabeth, and Inyok that ComScan is tracking two targets coming from the north. Thrawn orders his forces to bombard the Jedi and Wren, saying that there is no reasoning with Skywalker's apprentice. As the trio approached the hyperspace ring, the Chimeria's turbo lasers rain down fire on them. Rain down fire. Despite the bombardment, the three managed to use their force powers to open up the round, stony gate, breaching the fortress. and they all had to do it. And we don't even know for sure if Wren actually used her force powers at all, because I think the first time she used it was when she later on, spoilers, she uses it to grab her lightsaber off the ground, right? I think that's the first time she actually got it to work.
No.
Well, it's a trial run. It was practice.
The first time was when she pushed Bridger onto the ship.
No,
Yeah,
that was later. That was later. That was later.
It was later.
She pulls the lightsaber off the ground while she's fighting some of the soldiers first.
When she went back to help Ahsoka.
Nope.
Oh,
that's it. That's at the end, Scott.
Yeah. This was a beta test when they're there. She put her hand out, but nobody knows if it worked or not because it was all three of them. So she gets credit. Beta test. It was successful.
Beta test.
In the command center, Thrawn orders the Night Sisters be deployed while he informs the Great Mothers. The Night Troopers be deployed while he informs the Great Mothers. The Night Troopers descend down the stairs and converge on the intruders. Sabine and Bridger deflect their blasters with their lightsabers while Wren switches from her lightsabers to blasters after Tano tells her to, because she's like, you're not good enough for that lightsaber. Get your blasters out. That's basically the way I took it. Working together, they draw the Night Troopers and cut them down. Meanwhile, the Great Mothers chant in an unknown tongue and use their magics to reanimate the fallen Night Troopers. Thrawn watches the ritual. Tano and Wren and Bridger battle the undead Night Troopers while advancing up the stairs. They basically turn into zombies, right? So every time they kill them, they come right back a few seconds later.
With their green eyes.
Which I thought was interesting. So several times, we know a lot about zombies from different shows. And the most widely thing across all the zombie shows is if you shoot them in the head, they die, right? Has to be the head, or anywhere else it doesn't really, depending on the show, it doesn't really kill them, right? And I thought
a couple of them, they cut their heads off, but they did die. They didn't come back.
Yeah.
But most of the other wounds were they were not head wounds, so they were, coming back and following them. But they cut that one arm leg off, and it came back, and he had his arm and his leg. It was like it didn't disappear.
Yeah. It grew back.
Special effects guys, so they were a little lazy, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, despite shooting the troopers, they are not able to stop the undead Imperials. Bridger tells Tano that it's the first time he has encountered this magic. Night Troopers grabs Bridger, and Wren frees Bridger by impaling the undead Imperial with her lightsaber. The trio managed to escape the undead Imperials by sealing the blast doors. Tano tells Bridger and Wren that Wren has been training and with her lightsaber and all that stuff. Outside the Eye of Sion, the clamps start to extend and attach to the Chimeria. Since the Jedi are advancing quickly, Thrawn tells Elisabeth that they require a little more time. Elisabeth says she understands and bows silently. Thrawn says, for the Empire. For the Empire again. After Thrawn, his soldiers... After the Thrawn, the soldiers and the Great Mothers depart, Elizabeth swears she's doing it for Darthmore, the planet she came from, and exits the Star Destroyer hangar. Meanwhile, the undead Night Troopers break through the blast doors and rush upstairs. Bridger closes a second blast door with his lightsaber, sealing the keypad. I always thought that was funny. You seal the keypad, now the door won't open anymore. Whatever. The Jedi and Wren encounter Elisabeth inside the large chamber, and Tano tells Wren and Bridger to go after Thrawn while she deals with the Night Sister, who is wielding the Talazon sword. After Wren and Bridger circumnavigate Elisabeth, she and Tano engage in a duel. Tano fights with both her lightsabers while Elisabeth fights with her magical sword. Tano puts up a fierce fight, or Elisabeth puts up a fierce fight, while meanwhile Bridger and Wren encounter two Death Troopers at the top of the fortress, who gain the upper hand. What?
Hey, have you ever seen those guys before? Because I didn't know those guys. They were like big and kind of freaky looking. We've seen those guys before. Okay.
I don't know if we've seen. They called them Death Troopers here. There's so many different types of troopers. Who knows? But we've seen.
They were the same stormtroopers or whatever, or that were there, and they just.
No,
they were like
dead. Like she like knocked off like the part of the visor, and you could see like it was just like a jaw with teeth and stuff there. If you like see it, and they were taking like hits, but they were also big. Like they were like supersized. You know, they're like a foot taller than the regular troopers, and their armor was black and whatever. So they were different troopers. I didn't know who they were. That was one of my other questions. Like, have we seen people like that before?
We have, in a way. I mean, remember the troopers that were in with what's his name, Giancarlo Esposito, when he was doing the stuff in the man.
Yeah, that was my thing. Like I remember he had like those specialized, but they were all black, but they didn't. They were so we didn't see under their visor. So that was the closest I could think of. But
yeah, and those troopers were different too because supposedly they had force abilities.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He hadn't perfected it all the way, but supposedly they had force abilities and stuff. They were called dark troopers or something like that. And these are called Death Troopers. So I guess they've got the spell on them too, but they're just kind of like what you said. They're bigger, right?
Yeah, well, they were bigger and they were different. They were unique. So I was like, okay, I didn't remember seeing them before, but okay, carry on.
It's one of the first times we've seen them, so
okay,
you're kind of right.
Great. I wasn't crazy.
All right, so they gain it. Okay, and Thrawn and the Great Mothers reach the bridge of the Iosion, where the navigator droid informs them that the course is locked in. Thrawn gives the orders to depart, while Elisabeth advances on Tano. Wren struggles with the undead Death Trooper, who, despite blasting off part of his helmet and reveals the rotting jaw, removes her helmet and forces her against a pillar with the ruins. The second Death Trooper, after being stabbed in the chest by Bridger, which had no effect, throws him against the floor. Bridger fights back with his fist, and Wren struggles to use the Force to levitate her lightsaber. I can't do it. She uses the lightsaber to skewer the Death Trooper in the head and incapacitate it. Yeah. She then distracts the second Death Trooper long enough for Bridger to behead it with his lightsaber. So I think those two Death Troopers were the true zombie type, where you couldn't really hurt them until you damaged their head in some fashion. Because her lightsaber, when she lighted her lightsaber, it went right through his head, right? And we've seen that before with other things like that. Other people have been killed that way too. Bridger and Wren were unable to reach the Chimeria hangar in time. Meanwhile, the undead night troopers join Elisabeth in her battle against Tano. While two night troopers aim their blasters at Bridger and Wren proposes that she push Bridger and he pull her onto the Star Destroyer. Bridger thinks that this is too far, but Wren convinces him to give it a try. Come on, you could do it. You could do it.
You can do it.
Bridger does a force jump and gets Wren to push him with her latent force powers. Up there, yeah. Bridger appears to fall, but manages to grab onto a ladder and drags one of the Imperial sentries down when Wren shoots the second sentry. Which, okay, so obviously it happened after she did the lightsaber thing like we were discussing. But I find it funny that she knows that she can push him after using the Force 2 times in her life. 2 times, and she already knows, I can push you. It's okay. Do it. And he trusts her.
She probably been practicing. Trust me.
I'm like, what the hell?
Trust her. Yeah, that would not be a
Only do.
I'd be like, are you sure you know what you're doing? This is like your second time. Are you sure?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Did you feel me last night?
Whoa. Before Wren can join Bridger, she is distracted by the sight of her master Tano under attack from the undead night troopers. Tano fights with Elisabeth at the peak of the fortress. Elisabeth manages to damage one of her white lightsabers while that cuts it in half. Yeah, it cuts the hilt in half. The night troopers start to converge around them. Elisabeth gains the upper hand and taunts Tano with her friends. With her friends are dead, and she will die on Perdia alone. Wren disagrees and attacks the Night Sister with her lightsaber. A reinvigorated Tano resumes the duel. After parrying, she manages to slice Elisabeth across the waist with her remaining lightsaber, killing her. And I have something to say about that too, because you're going to say it too.
No, go ahead.
She did retrieve the sword from her too, right? That's what you're going to say.
Yeah.
She was able to get the sword from her.
She killed her with her own sword.
She did both. So you could see two marks across her. One was the lightsaber and one was the sword, because the sword was green across her stomach, and then the lightsaber was white across her stomach.
And you can see like some of the magic coming out when she cut her with the.
It was oozing out. Yeah. Yeah. So after killing her, which I don't know, the Night Sisters have an ability to come back to life too. So who knows? The Great Mothers sensed the death of their sister, and Thrawn replies that she did her duty. She died with doing her duty. Meanwhile, Bridger impersonates the fallen night trooper, which they give actually the trooper's number, LS757, using his comlink, basically reporting back that everything's okay. Tano asks Wren, where is Bridger? Where's Bridger? Wren replies that he is aboard the Chimeria. Meanwhile, Thrawn orders the Star Destroyer's turbo batteries to bombard the fortress. Destroy that thing. Kill it. Choo, choo, choo. Kind of like what they did with the clone place. They leveled it. The undead night troopers pursue Tano and Wren to the edge of the cliff, but the two escape on Tano's shuttle. They jump onto the shuttle as Hanoi is raising it up, which that we see that all the time. I'm tired of seeing that little trick. It's done. Huyang is flying, and they fly away from the mountain fortress as it crumbles to the ground. Tano and Wren join Huyang inside the cockpit and divert the power to the engines. They rise into Perdia's upper atmosphere to pursue the Eye of Sion in Chimeria. The navigator droid informs Thrawn that the Jedi are closing in, and Thrawn opens a channel to Tano and thanks her for being a worthy opponent. Thank you so much. Thank you. While they never have met face to face, Thrawn says that he knows her because he knew her late master. He concludes that their strategies were similar and wonders what she would have become had she stayed with the Jedi. He opinions that the Ronin, uh, like her, belongs on Perdia and says that victory belongs to him. I won this round. Thrawn says, "Long live the Empire," before the Eye of Sion jumps into space. Pew! The pathway back on the pathway back to the galaxy. The intergalactic hyperspace jump leaves behind a massive surge of energy, and Tano and Wren are visibly disappointed at their failure to stop Thrawn from escaping Perdia. And I thought for a minute there that it kind of threw out the ship's controls too. Didn't it start to fall or something weird like that?
Yeah, it was like all over the place.
And it was a sad moment too. They were all upset. So later, Tano and Wren return to their howlers, while Huyang and the Jedi shuttle return to the Noti convoy. The Noti are overjoyed to see their allies return and gather around Tano and Wren. Tano sees the Morai bird in the distance. Meanwhile, Shin Hati rides towards a camp of red bandits and ignites her lightsaber, drawing their attention. Elsewhere, Baylan Skoll reaches two statues of the father and son and stares at the mountains beyond. So there's a couple things in that paragraph. So Shin lights her lightsaber. Is she saying that, hey, I'm here? I want to be part of you? Or is she saying, hey, I want to fight you guys?
Or she's saying, I want to lead you guys.
She wants to be part of them.
Okay. I kind of thought that too, but it looked kind of weird that she would. Why is she standing up there why wouldn't she come up and, hey, how you doing?
You signal when you're coming into camp and you don't want to be shot.
I thought you put up a flag that was a white flag or something.
I think it was like this.
Why would she want to fight them?
Because she wants to take over. She's going to be stuck there. She has no way to get off that planet. She's in a whole different galaxy. She wants to be a leader.
She wants those assassins to work with her to get Ahsoka.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. That's kind of a left open kind of thing there. Kind of I don't know what that one is. But the more important one is the one where you're getting ready to go to. So,
yeah, the Baylan Skoll reaches the two statues of the father and son, and he climbs out on the arm and stares in the mountains beyond. And it doesn't say it here, but if you look out in the distance, there's a flashing light in the distance too. A lot of talk on the internet about what that flashing light is. They think it could be what we see here at the end, where Anakin's projecting for Ahsoka. Maybe he can see Anakin's Force Ghost in the distance. I don't know. Back at the main galaxy, you didn't think that?
I didn't. Well, I didn't catch it the first time. I just saw him looking off at the distance. And then when I went back and watched it again, then I could tell that there was like some kind of light. But if you look close, it's also kind of that reddish orange. Like it's kind of reddish orange distance. Like it almost looks like a volcano kind of erupting. But it's a straight beam of light.
It could be what's her name's lightsaber. Shin's lightsaber, she lights it up. Maybe he sees that in the distance.
But there's no way he'd be able to see that thing, that small lightsaber in a distance. I don't know. That's a big question because the whole conversation that he has with her about he's going to do his thing and like she's now to make her place in the Empire and yada yada yada, and his behaviors like in the episodes, like he wasn't a bad guy, but he was the bad guy, but not like truly bad. So like, I don't know. That's a big question. And it's now
yeah. Well, they could have already shot some of this stuff too.
True.
Because the real plan was to have at least 2 seasons, so they could have already been shooting stuff for season 2.
Possibly.
So what I was going to say is we talked about all that stuff in the beginning about the father, the son, and the daughter. I think what he wants to do is he wants to take the father's place. Because the father's supposedly dead. He died. That's why he wanted Anakin to be there, to take his place because he was dying. So I think he wants to take over as that he was always talking about power and stuff, right? Well, technically, that he has power of the entire force. Then if he takes over the father's position, but that position is a position of.
Well, he's balanced. Like he was a Jedi, but now he's a bad guy, but he still has the Jedi values and foundation, and so like that kind of makes sense there a little bit. I don't know. That's a huge question that I'm.
The father is supposed to be the balance of the force. He balances out the son and the daughter. So it's a huge question. That's kind of what I think it's going to go towards, but I don't know.
The daughter statue does look like Ahsoka.
In some ways, yeah. But I don't know if that's just because you're looking and you want to, how the human brain works. Your brain wants to associate like things, and sometimes it plays tricks on you when it's not really the same. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
All right. So back to the main galaxy, not the Perdea galaxy, but our regular galaxy. Thrawn, along with Enoch and the Great Mothers, watch from the balcony as the Aya, Sion, and Chimeria approach Darthamor. Various coffins from the catacombs of Perdea are stored inside the Star Destroyer's hangar. So we get to see a closer look of the cargo and its coffins, is what it shows. So maybe it's kind of what we said. It's past Night Sisters or past, troopers or whatever. They're going to reanimate them like they did the ones that we saw in the show already. Elsewhere, an ETA shuttle class lands in the hangar of Home 1, and General Syndulla, Chopper, and several armed New Republic soldiers, officers, and crew, including First Officer Nick Hawkins and Bieta, converge on the shuttle. A lone night trooper emerges from the shuttle and raises his hands up in the air. Chopper speaks in binary and approaches the figure, who ends up revealing himself as Ezra Bridger. Syndulla is surprised. As a matter of fact, her jaw almost drops open. And she's pleased to see her friend come home. Is it really Ezra? Is it? Back on Perdea, Wren and Tano spend time alone outside the Nodi camp. Wren tells her master that they are almost packed. Tano reassures her that she did well, and Wren is upset that Thrawn escaped, but Tano points out they managed to send Bridger home, which is what he wanted. Wren says that she hopes that Bridger has succeeded. Tano responds, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm a little confused on this. So the ship he's on, right? He gets away from Thrawn's ship and no one knows like he left after they get back to the to the group. I mean,
you don't
like
know
how get off of like the destroyer or the ring or what, because I went back and watched that again, and that looks like the one ship that Ballyan and Shin arrived on the ring, right? Isn't that the ship that they took to the
it's
place?
The same type. It's the same type, but we don't know if it's the exact same one.
Well, it looked like the same one. So now Ballyan Skoll, who was left on the planet, who like flaked on Thrawn, his ship disappears off of where he's at, and he's like not sending anybody questioning it or anything. I don't know.
He probably is.
True,
we just don't know. We just don't see it.
Yeah. That was just a little like
I thought it was weird too because how did he get it all accomplished? And we never saw how he did it.
Yeah, it was convenient. I mean, it makes for a great storyline, but what I just thought that was a little too nicely packaged. And here you go. But okay, whatever. I digress.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was gonna mention it afterwards, but I thought it was really convenient that he all of a sudden shows up.
Yeah.
How did he escape with his ship and everything? And he's probably been gone for a couple. Let's see. I think they said in the beginning of the episode that it had been like 3 or 4 years since the events in the Rebels. So he's been gone at least 5 years, maybe 4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Just a little convenient for me, but whatever. I guess there was a writer strike getting ready to happen. So
I agree, though. It was pretty convenient. Yeah. So Wren says that she hopes that Bridger succeeded. Tano responds that Bridger is where he needs to be, and so are they. Tano tells Wren that it is time for us to move on as they watch the night sky. Wren senses something hopeful, but does not elaborate. Tano stares into the night sky before rejoining Wren at the camp. The Force spirit of Anakin Skywalker watches over them, and the credits roll. I always say the credits roll, but they kind of flash the names across the screen at you.
Like plastic.
And I want to say one other thing. And I've noticed it. If you look in the credits near the end of the credits, they always have the costume designer. That costume designer died this week. She's one of the main costume designers for been for a lot of the shows lately.
Really?
What was yeah, yeah, here we go. What's Shauna Tropic? Her last name is spelt funny. TR, there's no vowels in it almost. TRPCIC. Shauna Tropic. She was the Emmy nominated costume designer who did the costumes for pretty much most of the modern shows we've seen. Mandalorian, Boba Fett, all those shows there. She did some on some of the older Star Wars movies as well. She was in the industry for 40 some years or something like that. Anyway, she died this week. I just wanted to mention that.
Is she sick?
2 seconds of silence for that. Yeah. So the Force Ghost spirit of Anakin Skywalker shows again, huh? I'm getting tired of seeing that guy too. He's Darth Vader already. Stop it.
Well, he smiled.
No, but Darth Vader was good when he died, so he shows up as Annie now.
I know, and I get that, but
I get that, but I can't stand it.
I have a hard idea accepting that he looks like Anakin the way he does. Because when he died, he was an old bald-headed guy and stuff. I mean, he wasn't no hot-looking, long-haired guy like he is in as a Force ghost. I suppose it's kind of like the Matrix. You can put on whatever outfit you want, I guess, once you're a ghost. I don't know.
But that's when he was
back to when you were good last.
Yeah, that's when he was good. So
come on, Kyle, follow.
I mean,
no, he became good as he was dying in his suit as Darth Vader.
He was good. He was good when he was in that form.
I understand that. But he was good. He was good when he died. At the moment he died, he was on the good side.
Your first Force Ghost. What you look like now?
He relapsed when he died. Come on, he was so bad.
From Long John Silver's.
Yep, I would. I would like to see some old guy instead. It was like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He comes back as an old-looking guy when he's the first time he's a Force ghost.
But that's the first time we saw him.
Yeah, that's because we hadn't seen Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
He looked like that.
Qui-Gon Jinn, he comes back as an old guy as a Force ghost.
Because that's what we saw.
Well, yeah,
Oh my
because he doesn't
God.
ever change.
Yeah, he didn't change. He wasn't that old.
Do you want to say, oh, we need Yoda as Grogu?
Yeah, Yoda came back like when he was only like 600 years old instead of 900 as a space ghost. So, look.
You know.
You're silly. All right, so that's the
Good stuff.
episode, and I wanted to hit some numbers real quick. So it looks like on Spotify, we're pretty much getting someone listening to us every week, at least one person. Rick hasn't been watching us on Amazon, so we've been kind of falling off on there. We haven't had anybody listen.
How many does it show?
Well, it doesn't really show any on Amazon at all right now. We've gotten plays. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think Amazon does a very good job of showing stuff, because the last time an episode was played was the third episode of Ahsoka.
Well,
They don't do a very good job.
Because I watched last week's a couple of times. Well, one, I didn't finish the whole thing, but I was only like 2 minutes left and I had to stop because I had kids coming. So, that's weird.
Just let it run.
Well, it was towards the end of the part where we were talking about some things and I couldn't remember exactly what all we said, so I didn't want to play in the background.
Yeah.
I
cut out some of that stuff.
And I leave my office.
I didn't remember how much
I cut it out. I cut out some of that stuff.
That's
yeah,
good.
So the video part, we got 15 views on the last episode and 12 views on the one before that. So 6 was 12, episode 7 was 15. Hopefully we'll get some more here coming up. Any last thoughts? I mean, this is the finale, so we're looking forward to season 2, hopefully, as long as the writer strike didn't ruin that.
In a year.
Maybe more, because a lot of the shows are pushed back because of the writer strike. So the whole schedule may be pushed back. We don't know.
I think they're going to.
You can tell me season 2 hasn't already been written. You can't tell me that. If he has a movie that's already written and ready for production,
he wrote those movies way before he started this stuff. He wrote the movies. So those movies are supposed to be live action Clone Wars and stuff like that, and so he's basically gonna use what's already written and such.
You know what I wonder? This might be a little morbid, but think about when George Lucas dies. Who's going to carry it on, or is it just going to end? Because he wants so much control.
He does want control, but ultimately Disney owns it and can do what they want with it.
I was going to say, he sold out to Disney, so Disney's got it at that point. He's a seller. Quitter. No,
so basically you think Filoni's going to take it all over?
I think if somebody takes over, like what you're talking about, the reins of Star Wars, I think it was going to be a combination of Favreau and Filoni. I don't think they believe that Filoni Filoni's good at animation. This is his first time in Ahsoka live action doing live action writing. And the movies, basically the script for the movies that he's going to be doing are repeats of what's happened in the Clone Wars animation stuff too. I'm sure we'll see some different stuff, but it's supposed to happen around the same time as the Clone Wars and whatever from those. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's some projections that it's going to be 25 before we see another season of Ahsoka. I think what I saw recently was the Acolyte was in the middle of production. So it got put off by the writer's strike, which means we may not see that until 24. And the Bad Batch was supposedly already written, but it hasn't started production yet. And there's something else. The Star Wars Visions season 3 is supposed to come out, and those are different studios. Different studios, so who knows if they were able to write those or what. And then the other one too, the Tales of the Jedi. That one's supposed to have another season 2. So we got a bunch of stuff that's backing up. So who knows what's going to happen next? They're saying the Mandalorian may not be until late 24 now, the season 4, because of the strike and stuff. They hadn't even started filming or anything of anything. So we don't know what's going on there either.
I think they're going to light a fire and push some things through, because I don't think they want to lose what they've got right now. I think they've got momentum. If they go, too long, they're going to lose a lot of their folks, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder to pull them back than it is to push stuff out, even if it's kind of half. I mean, I see them doing. Sorry, but I see them kind of doing some half-ass stuff to push it out to keep at least a large percentage of people interested, so that they can produce some better quality stuff, at the end of 24 or early 25. Because if they go all from now until like mid 24 or even fall of 2024, how many people they're going to lose in watching stuff? I mean, people will watch runs, but only to a certain point. They're not going to sit back and watch 4 seasons or 3 seasons or whatever to pass the time. They'll find something else.
Yeah. So traditionally, the Bad Batch usually comes out around May the 4th. The holiday May the 4th be with us. Last time it came out in February. The first season was on May the 4th. So hopefully, that'll come through, and we'll see. They won't have to push it back too much, because apparently animated takes longer to produce than live action.
Yeah. Like a whole thing is takes 4 years or some shit like that.
We'll see. I keep seeing these stupid articles where, here's everything we know about the shows and when they're going to come out, and the headline says including dates when they premiere and stuff, and you look at it and they don't know anything. Oh, we don't know that yet. Oh, we don't know anything.
Well, that's because that's the only way that can keep anybody interested and to click on it, because
clickbait.
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing. I think they recognize that they've got a huge following, and yes, the writer strike did whatever in production or whatever, but they also realize that if they don't get their ass going, they're going to lose a lot of their audience, and so they're going to put something out there, to keep you at least in the back of your head going, oh yeah, okay, something big's coming. I just got to wait for it. In the meantime, I can watch this, because if they do nothing, there's too much television competition with all of the other streaming services that somebody's going to have that's already been sitting on a shelf. They just didn't think it was going to make it. So now they've pushed it out. Well, then it catches wildfire and people are watching that. And now you've got to try to draw those people back to you, when they're just like, nope, I'm going here. No, we want you to come back to us. Nope, I'm here because it's available,
Yeah.
So it's just my 2 cents. I know it was a long week this week and not being able to watch anything, because there's nothing on right now, at least in my world.
There's nothing. Everything's in a break for a little bit. Stuff is starting to come out. New stuff is starting to come out, but it's hardly anything. We're still running reruns. I did forget to mention also that if anybody's interested, the musical scores they usually with an episode they release the first half of all the music and then the second half. Um, you can find them. I found them on Spotify and stuff like that. You can
Cool.
listen to the music if you want to. Um, and I'm looking here at the site, and there's no mention of season 2, but they mentioned Skeleton Crew, which is one of them we talked about. Skeleton Crew, I know they haven't started any production on it because what's his name? Jude Law is supposed to be one of the main characters. He's
Yeah.
he's actually talked to reporters and said that they haven't started any um actual production of any part of the show yet. And that was supposed to come out in 24, middle of 24, I believe. So, um, you know, that one they may rush through because that's a big. Jude Law is not necessarily a huge actor, but he's a pretty big actor, right?
Yeah.
He's a name people know at least, and that might be one they rush
Yeah.
through. I wonder because I think the show's written, it just hasn't started production. I think is what I heard. So
Yeah, that's my gut saying that they're going to push something through to keep people, because I mean, you go 6 months without watching anything, and you're like, "Well, I'm done. I'm screw that," and that would be a good one because people do recognize Jude Law, like they recognize
yeah,
his name, and they know, and of course maybe it's crappy, but at least they're keeping some of their viewership to around so that let's say that comes out like July or August and they know that they're going to release something, about November or December, so they only got to
yep,
keep people occupied for a couple months with crap, So I don't
yeah,
know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
yeah. A
Once I
lot,
was
lot of
wrong
people
once.
are upset about that because um, the Acolyte was supposed to come out in 24
Yeah,
also, and that's one of
yeah,
the most anticipated ones because it's 200 years before any of the movies were the timeline, and people are like, "Wow,
yeah.
this is a unexplored timeline, and it's supposed to be all about the dark side of the Force and not necessarily the light side that we're used to. We see some of the dark side, but we never delve into hardly any of it, right? In the movies and the shows and stuff.
Exactly.
So a lot of people are looking forward to that,
Exactly.
but let me push the feedback button so we can
Feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback, KAILEJohansson.us.
you guys switched places again on my screen. I missed it while I was talking. So I'm gonna have to do the video again. All right, so our feedback options are we have an email address, feedback at kylesjohansson.us, which the little soundbite there read it all off to you. We can go to the website, and we always talk about the left-hand side. And over to the left-hand side is a link that says feedback, and that'll bring up a form that you can fill out. We're on social media at the left-hand side, whatever's your left side, Scott, the other left. We're on Twitter at super_duper_pod, and we're on Blue Sky, our growing fast audience, at Rebel Alliance Briefing Room, all one word. And then you can find us on YouTube. There's comments section there on YouTube that you can give us comments. And Rick, I don't know, when you're looking at the stuff on Amazon, is there any place that you can put any comments or anything like that you see? I know you just play them on your player, but if you go to the website and look, have you ever done that?
No, I've never really done it. I just go to the podcast and then search our podcast and then play it.
Yeah. I was trying
And
to
then
find
it
something
just
like that.
plays. I
There isn't
don't
any
think so.
place
I
to,
don't think there's any place to. Yeah, I don't think so.
if I found the same thing on Spotify. When I go and look, there's no. It just shows this podcast doesn't let you comment or anything, which is interesting. I would think that people would want that, but or different sites would want to do that, but they don't. I guess I don't know. So those are our places to find the feedback. Send it to us right away. Send us the feedback. Scott's playing with his tripod. Yay. So you guys ready to wrap it up, or you want to talk some more about some of this stuff?
I gotta
I'm
go
good with-
procure food.
Oh, okay. Dinner time for you already, huh?
Cookout.
Got to go to the grocery store, huh?
Go ahead.
Got to go hunter and
Later.
gatherer. Hunter and gatherer. All right. Well, I can play the outro then. We'll get out of here. I gotta go.
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes.
Down there.
That's
Down there.
https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR dot KyleJohansson.US. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us.
Oh no!
This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or
and
opinions
Rick,
of
too.
their
Rick
past or
owns
present
some.
employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited.
No, no, no.
I am Kyle Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton.
He's
Say
poking
goodbye
you.
now.
And Rick, say goodbye too, Rick. Rick's there. He keeps changing his background so he can show us that these Chiefs are outside fishing. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.